John Zagorodsky, our guest on Ask the First Selectman, it wouldn't be a show without him. So the if you follow our first selectman on social media, you might have seen a recent picture of him and our governor breaking bread together, having a lunch or dinner or a meal, a snack. I'm not quite sure what was on the menu, but they dined together right here in Darien. So the question was, why was the governor having a lunch or a dinner or a snack with you? And what did you discuss?
Well, thanks for the question, Jim. It's clear that I'm so popular and interesting. I mean, everybody wants to sit down and have lunch with me. It's amazing. Now, I'd only met the governor once before when he visited in 2023, right before my election, and he was visiting over in Darien Commons. And I asked him a question once at a conference, but didn't know him. The lunch meeting actually came about through a friend of mine who knew Governor Mott's family many, many years ago. His kids were friends with this person's children. And when I was at lunch with this guy, he said, "Well, would you like to have lunch with the governor or get to know him?" And I said, "Well, absolutely." And it was through this gentleman that the meeting actually came about. The governor had been in Norwalk earlier in the day, and it just worked out scheduling wise for him to stop in Darien, I guess, on his way back to Hartford to see a little bit what was going on here and have lunch with me. I spent about an hour with him one on one. And I have to say, it was a real privilege. I mean, he's the governor of a substantial state with 169 towns, and the idea that he would spend some time with the first selectman in Darien was terrific. So, a great conversation. We touched on a couple of topics I'll mention that were interesting. The first one was energy. He and I are both in very much agreement that if we're going to have a revitalization of employment and also any kind of cost of living cost control in the state, it's going to be predicated on inexpensive energy. And we need that not just for employment, but we also need it for other objectives, such as trying to decarbonize our economy and move to cleaner energy sources. All part of that, all of that's important, but in order to do it, we're going to need a lot of electricity to wean us off of dirtier sources of power. And we need to do a lot more on that. He's very cognizant of the fact that wind and solar, which are the traditional renewable sources that people talk about, are simply and totally insufficient for accomplishing that goal. So we talked a lot about trying to get increased natural gas supplies into Connecticut for combined cycle power plants as a way to reduce energy costs. And so I came away very confident that he's got the best interests of the state in mind with regard to managing energy costs. And I think we should try to support him in that regard. The other thing we talked about was housing. Darien has made a lot of strides in affordable housing in this town. And it's been through the very successful collaboration with developers here. So the current requirement is that any new development in town has to have 14%. By that, I mean apartment developments have to have 14% of those apartments as, quote, affordable. Longer conversation as to how to define that. But through that requirement, our developers have stepped up to ensure that there is affordable housing built into the developments that they're creating. And we've had a very good success in that regard. And it's successful because the housing is built into developments that we have. So when you drive by or you think about those developments, they don't look any different from anything else. And so it's a way to provide affordable housing in keeping with the character of the town. And so what I emphasized to the governor was, look, I think we all support the need for affordable housing. It's a serious problem in Connecticut, but his philosophy is of allowing us to do it our way. So in other words, being specific about what, in other words, we need affordable housing, but not about how you create affordable housing, I think is a great message for every town in Connecticut. Every town should be able to create affordable housing in a way that works for them. And with that mosaic of different approaches, we all collectively get to the goal of more affordable housing in the state of Connecticut. So I applaud his efforts to take a flexible approach to that. I think he was impressed when he was here before to see what we'd created. And I look forward to being able to collaborate with him on that going forward. In summary, I would say that as a state and certainly as a town, we've been well served by the governor of Connecticut. Governor Lamont is strikes me as an extremely well-informed, a very conscientious man, and someone who is truly focused on trying to ensure that Connecticut is the best state in the union to live. So I applaud his efforts and look forward to collaborating with him going forward. It was a privilege to sit down with him, and I was grateful.
And who paid for lunch?
I did actually. It's funny. I went up to the manager was there, and I said, "Look, here's my American Express card. I'm paying for lunch. Don't even bring the bill. Just let the governor go." And he ordered a wedge salad, and I had, I don't know, grilled chicken Caesar, and towards the end of the lunch, he had to go, and he was looking around for the bill. And I said, "Governor, you're good here. It's all good." So he left, and so I'm going to keep that receipt, my Governor Lamont receipt, and it was cool to buy his lunch. Hopefully, he enjoyed the lunch, and maybe he'll invite me up to Hartford to have lunch up there because thought it was so interesting, or maybe not. We'll see.
Thank you, John. John Zagrodzky, our first selectman. If you have a question for Ask the First Selectman, send it along to us at DarianTV79 at gmail.com.